What did a teacher say that made you immediately walk out of the classroom? 1. My college biology professor asked the class who created the periodic table. One person said, Dmitry Mendeleev. Correct. The teacher said no. A few other guesses were made. Then the professor said, you're all wrong. It was God. This was a public school, and I was not going to have any part in being taught about nothing. I was there to learn, not to listen to stories. I packed up my stuff and left. 2. I had a teacher in 7th grade that almost loved playing with children's emotions and also loved calling home. He once asked me why my mom, dad, and my dad's work didn't pick up because he called them 10 times each. He had a no laughing policy and would start dancing in the middle of class. He had a multiply by 7 dance, and we couldn't laugh. He called my parents all the time to tell them I fell out on the floor laughing. I can tell you my butt was not on the dusty crusty tile. He held the whole class for lunch detentions if someone was disrupting him. He kept an ongoing stopwatch, and if it was a minute or over, the whole class would have lunch detention on the whole other end of the school. I'm not going to get into much more because it ignites a flame inside me, and also I would be here for hours. There was a girl in my class. Let's call her Lana. Lana was really thin, about medium height, and was always in pain. She was a flyer during cheer. Someone had dropped her and she landed on her back and hit her head really hard. Lana came to school with a concussion and was doubling over in pain. She was always getting hurt, but that girl loved cheer. One day I walked into class to see Lana crying. I walked over to her and asked her what was wrong. She explained to me the teacher denied her to go to the nurse even when she begged to go. She said her head was spinning and she couldn't concentrate. I wasn't really friends with this girl. If anything, I don't really think we liked one another up until this point. Without hesitation, I walked right out that class with Lana in my grasp and told the teacher, who was outside the classroom for some reason, Lana's gonna throw up. Do you really want that on the carpeted rug? I've never seen a teacher sign a pass that fast before in my life. The next day Lana came in and thanked me for saying something because she was way too shy to do so. 3. It was what he did. My gym teacher threw a basketball into my face hard. This was a common teaching method for gym teachers, called the humiliation method. He had done it for about 2 years to me by this point. It supposedly makes the humiliated student try harder and improves their performance. I was very uncoordinated and had balance issues. Still do as an adult. After being humiliated by my teacher every gym class, I would afterwards be hit and humiliated by a number of kids in the gym locker room after each class. For some reason, this time something snapped. I said, I don't have to take this, and threw the basketball to the ground. I then went to the locker room, changed my clothes and walked out of the gym. I desperately wanted to be reported to the office. I had plenty to say. The teacher apologized in private the next class. I now have a policy that if you abuse me in public, you apologize to me in public. It took years of therapy before I was able to exercise at a gym regularly. I am told that the humiliation method is no longer used in gym class because they found it gave great improvement in sports, and after high school, those kids never did sports for the rest of their lives. I can see why. 4. You can't go to the bathroom. I asked several times, explaining I needed to go. I told her again, kind of yelling it. She told me to come up and get a demerit. I was astounded. I thought about it for a second. My brain, my body said it's not going to wait. Sometimes you need to show someone the right path when you have a chance. I had no time left by now, so I walked up to her desk, where she sat so righteous, and I threw up all over her desk and her. Then I grabbed the demerit, and told her my mom would probably be in to discuss this with the principal. The classroom erupted in clapping and cheers. I left the class to go to the bathroom to wash my mouth and face, then went to the office to call my mom. When my mom came, we talked for a few minutes. She immediately went in the office to have a heart-to-heart chat with the principal. Sometimes people make bad choices. 5. During high school, I was sick off and on. 6 classes were considered to be a full load of classes. Most semesters I took fewer classes. However, in my last semester in high school, I was feeling better, so I started the semester with 6 classes. My final class of the day was a drafting class, which I loved, but the teacher was a complete asshole. He ran the class as if it was boot camp. No one was allowed to talk in class for any reason. Most of the students were afraid of him. One day I forgot my eraser and quietly asked the girl next to me if she had an extra one. The teacher saw me and came unglued, yelling at me about his rules. I sat there for a while, not reacting to his rant, which made him even angrier. I picked up my books and supplies and started to leave. The teacher screamed at me where I thought I was going. I replied, I'm going to go drop this class. He asked why, and I replied that I was not going to put up with your abuse any longer. The teacher ordered me to go back to my seat, but I just keep on going, listening to him rant, but smiling as I knew I could drop the class. I went to the school office and told them that I had made a mistake taking 6 classes. I just couldn't keep up. The administration was well aware of my health problems, and the paperwork to drop the class took less than 5 minutes. That day was the last time I saw the teacher, but some of my classmates told me he complained about me dropping the class. I heard that the next semester he was no longer teaching at the school. 6. When I was in 7th grade in middle school, we had a substitute teacher. I live in San Antonio, Texas, and this older man was dressed like a cowboy, even wearing a hat inside the building, which I thought was rude. I remember it being a white hat to top it all off, cowboy hat. So I was sitting next to the window in the first row and he called upon me but didn't call me by my name. He called me Hey Enchilada. Now in San Antonio we have a lot of Hispanic people. Yes, I am Hispanic, but never will I answer to a derogatory term such as Hey Enchilada. I did not answer. He said, Hey you by the window. Enchilada, answer me. I looked up at him and said, Are you addressing me? He said, Hey you, yeah you. I said, I have a name. my name is Rachel. If you look at the seating chart you will see that my name is Rachel. If you wish to address me please address me by my name. So he said I can call you whatever I want. So I got up and told him I was going to the main office to report him. He said, you do that and I'll call the office. I told him that was fine since I was headed there anyway. I went over to the principal's office and reported to him what the substitute teacher had told me. He told me to go to my next class and wait outside in a hall until class starts. When I went back into that hallway, because my locker was in that hallway, I went by that room and another substitute teacher was in the room. So the principal must have called the main office to report the substitute teacher having made derogatory comments. 7. During 4th grade, students in my school were given a choice: you could either take a violin class or an Italian class. Knowing that I'm not good at learning new languages, I happily choose violin. Violin is going well for a few weeks. We learn how to play hot crossed buns, that is it. Anywho, I am practicing in my grandmother's room one day when I accidentally bump into a wall. This violin is demolished, all of the strings fall off of the tuning thingamabobs. Clearly my violin jargon is top notch. So I show up to class with my broken violin in hand the next day. So I sit in my seat while Ms. Violin teacher does attendance. When she tells us to take out our violins, I show her what I have done. She looks mad, but she doesn't say anything. So I put my violin back in its case and intend to ask her later what I should do for the rest of the year. She does not seem to enjoy my plan to ask her later. During the middle of class, I am reading a book at the moment. She comes over to me and yells at me to pay attention, even though it is still hot crossed buns, and play along. I gesture to the broken violin next to me when she says that I should pretend to play so that I could make myself useful. I ask her to explain how me pretending to play a song that I already know would make me more useful. She proceeds to yell at me about how pointless my existence was, so I got up and walked right out of there and into the Italian class next door. I took my seat and explained to Ms. Italian teacher that I would like to learn Italian with her. Next thing I knew, I was on her class roster and receiving grades in Italian despite my unconventional way of joining the class.